Hello. So we are very pleased to be amongst so talented, skilled people with such a goodwill. So great pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having us. OMA Space is a very small studio, art and design studio based in Seoul. We are creating a contemporary art and design, installation, immersive installation, and garments. A little bit of the story. Jang Jiu, aka OMA, she's the studio is named after her, and she's a spirit of OMA Space. She's a designer, she's an artist, and she founded the studio in 2012. Before she graduated at the London School of Fashion, and she worked with 2 years with Alexander McQueen in charge of the textile. And then for ethical reasons, she decided to leave the circus of the big fashion and to come back to her roots in Korea. And she opened a very small studio, and she started to make a very exclusive garment with natural material, natural textile. And she tried to bring a slower and more responsible fashion at the time. Gil Kyoungyoung, she's been working with OMA for years. At the beginning, she was an assistant, then she became a partner, and she's hands of the studio. She's a great maker. And myself, I'm a creative director in the studio, and I'm a curator and producer as well. And I'm doing all the video and the music for the shows. So I joined the studio in 2017. We are engaged in a kind of an experimental work, and we are blending a tradition with innovation, and all is based on the acquisition of primitive technique and digital tools. So we are in a constant research of finding new ways to find new materials and treat them, transform them with a new shape into contemporary forms. At the beginning, OMA was doing mostly garments. So for a very faithful small ring of customers that became bigger after time, with natural dyeing, all natural, one-off and small edition, and accessories as well. And through our creative process, we are doing our best to maintain a sustainable coexistence between humanity and nature. So nature is calling us back all the time. And the idea of OMA at the beginning was to dress the body, but also to dress the spirit. I joined the studio in 2017, and we decided to expand the activity of the studio into art and design and installation. This one was our first one in London at the Saatchi Gallery for the Collect exhibition. And it's beyond garments, it's more theatrical pieces. It's not human anymore. And this installation was called Numen, which in Latin means something inhabited with a spirit. So it's a blend of a lot of different technique, felt, different material, like fermented material, because Korea is a land of fermentation. So we put some fabrics into the soil, and we let the fabric, decompose and transform for months, and then we take it out and we work this fabric to do something else with it. One of the direction of our position with the climate change and the global situation is sourcing the future in the past. So I took this quote from Henry Ford for two reasons, because he was right, and in the same time he was also figure of the Industrial Revolution that led us to mass extraction and mass consumption of our natural resource. And, and that led us also to the verge of, of a possible collapse today. So amongst the material we are sourcing, we are very interested by hemp. And hemp culture was a big tradition in Korea in the past. The country was one of the biggest producers in Asia. And during the dictatorship in the 80s, the culture was forbidden by the regime. And I guess it was because most opponents of the regime were, kind of hemp smokers as well. So today it's very difficult to find hemp in Korea, and few farmers have permits to grow the hemp. And the hemp is known in indigenous culture is known as a mother of all plant for its multiple capacity of transformation into fuel, into construction material, into paper, into textile. And also it comes with numerous medicinal benefits. So Philippe, you can send the first video about the hemp movement. This is a movement project led by Jang Jiu, OMA. She started this 2 years ago with a little community in the south of Korea. Thank you, Philippe. I go back to my screen. And this is what I want to show you now is a result of the all this exploration with you know, farmers and different makers. So this is a current exhibition we have in Seoul at the Monoa Gallery. Monoa in Japanese means monochrome. It's a very minimalist gallery. And for example, what we are doing with HEMP, we are doing, of course, accessories like bags and stuff, but we are making this big piece, all traditional piece, like this in a pure tradition of the Korean hemp. And this exhibition is very similar to what Sunli was saying before about exploration of the intersection about the verticality, horizontality with weft and warp in textile. Because weft and warp in textile were used as a language to tell stories before word existed. So it was a kind of first code we had. This piece is another fermentation piece. So it has been buried for 6 months, this one. And all the color change depending on how much time you leave them into the ground. These are raw silk, very rare raw silk. So we are making this kind of panel like this, hanging panels. So different approach of and different techniques that Jang Jiu OMA is developing, still developing. The second direction of our approach is what we call the ecology of the mind. We are a very small studio. We can act at a very small scale. And we are bringing our little stone to pave the way. And the ecology of the mind is something very important because we are living today in the context of temporal explosion, which is exponential acceleration of our present. So we have an omnipresence of communication system, real-time information. We have this human attention has been geared towards the outside world. So our spirit is kind of vacuumed by the outside with the use of permanent and virtual interaction and dynamic and distraction. So like the Zoom, you know, like the Zoom session, for example, it takes a lot of attention for us. Today with wars, global instability, environmental threat, they are all things that are, you know, undermining our chance of facing the challenge in front of us. So by consequence, our era is characterized by the increase of global stress, of anxiety, of frustration and resentment. And most of us suffer from a disrupted link with ourselves and a lost connection with nature. So we believe that to think efficiently and to shape, you know, salutary forms for the future, we need to take our time to root our presence in the present and to restore our disrupted link with ourselves and our connection with nature. So this is what our work is about now, and especially with big installation. So this is a very nice quote that summarizes what we want to say. So how to root the people in the present moment today through art. So in 2019, we started to create a large-scale immersive and meditative installation to take the time to slow down, to cultivate our consciousness, and to elevate our mind and to generate some inspiration to the people. And with this intention, we won the Google International Call for Artists to experiment a new art interactive textile fiber technology called Jacquard by Google. So we designed an experience based on a slow walk, which is a meditative ritual of Zen monks, and this taking place in a temple with a circular architecture. And the people were invited to walk barefoot in slow motion with headphones on a spiral way. So I show you the architecture inside the spiral, and people had to walk on steps, and these steps were interactive, and they were triggering sound and light sequence to guide the way inside at a very slow tempo. So people were coming by the entrance, making, going at the center and then coming back in a double spiral like this. And it was a 15-minute experience of slow walking. We use a lot of different material for the steps, and with a completely seamless technology and embedded in the material, in the organic material. The spiral is a symbol of the universe in motion, and it comes from the Latin word spirare, which means to breathe. So the show was presented in the Mobilier National in Paris during the FIAC Art Fair in 2019. And it was a great success for us because we got the proof of concept from the audience of the proof of concept of the effectiveness and the transcendental effect of this elevating experience. People were transformed after the experience, which was not, guaranteed at the very beginning when we started to work on this. So basically, what we are trying to do is to make immersive experience. Today, immersive experience are made mostly with screens and in virtual worlds. So we want to make immersive experience with no screens, but with a real physical presence, with materials and alchemy between all these materials as a main constituent. We kept on the same way, same vein in Seoul. The year after, when we came back to Seoul, after Paris, we got a proposal to make a new installation. So we made an iteration of the slow walk. And this time we used minerals to pave the way. So the idea of the full installation, both the first one and this one, is you start to work on very rough material. It's very uncomfortable, but the more you go to the center, the more it's becoming smooth and very delicate. So it changed completely your sensorial approach. Same thing with the sound. You start with a lot of noise and then you reach the silence in the middle. So the entrance until the center was made with minerals, going from rocks to sand. And then the exit side was made with a vegetal, different type of vegetal. So to give you a little idea of the experience, we have another video, short video. Philippe, please, if you can play it. So it's both the experience in Paris and the one in Seoul. Thank you. This was very interesting to ask people to do some things that they don't do normally, you know, in their everyday life. If you ask to the people if they walk barefoot sometime, you know, people don't walk barefoot anymore, you know, except in a tropical place or on the beach or something like this. But, you know, especially in Korea, it was quite difficult to ask the people to go barefoot because they want to keep their socks or something like this, you know. So it's interesting because what is observation? The observation of the way you walk, the observation of the way you breathe. And if you can, you know, regulate this a little bit, just 1 degree, you know, you change completely the perception, the angle of perception of what is going on. So this is the way we are, you know, searching to slow down the people and to make them a little bit more clear. So Observation was a solo show at Changuchin Museum of Art in Jang Jiu, Korea. And Jang Jiu was a painter of stillness. He was a kind of a very naive Zen minimalist, and the show we made was still in the same vein, you know, a contemporary resonance of the stillness of the mind. This is one of the pieces that was presented there. Then we start to have diverse collaboration and make a crossover of different, you know, experience. And the first one we made on outside of the studio was with the Sinawi Orchestra. So the Sinawi Orchestra is one of the most innovative Korean traditional music ensemble of Korea. In the East, it is conducted by the maestro Won Il, who is a very open mind guy. And we made a film, so I directed the film, and I made all the design, the video for the stage design, and OMA Space made all the costume of the show. And it was a very interesting meditation experience for all the audience as well. So it was a different form of looking for this slowdown. This is a new installation that we just launched in a place called Awon Resort in Gwangju, Korea, in the middle of the mountain. And this installation is mostly a deprivation of sensorial deprivation. So we put the people in the dark. So it's very unusual, like it is to walk slowly. It is very unusual to find yourself in the complete dark and to activate some sound in your ears. So this is what's happening under this dome. The experience lasts only 5 minutes, but it's very effective during the last minute. You know, during 5 minutes, it's really worked well. This exhibition of the installation is coming with another piece called Cosmos. Cosmos is a technique developed by OMA. It's a mix of NG paper and hemp, and it's called pointillism. So it's little point extraction from a layer of texture from another with just a needle. It's a very time-consuming kind of technique. And propose to see just a short video of this new immersive installation. Thank you. So this approach, this work we are, doing for the last 3 years now, our approach and the aesthetic of our installation, they have been noticed in Korea, and some institutions ask us for curation and art direction for major exhibitions. So based on this concept of slowdown that we are developing. So the current one is the Kyoungyoung Triennale 2022, where I'm the international commissioner, curator, and art director of the main art show called specifically Take Your Time. So Take Your Time is a reunion of 38 artists from 13 countries. It's in a big building, a 6-floor building that was completely transformed into a black box inside. And it is a journey between the past, the present, and the future. So it's undertitled Sourcing the Past, Meeting the Present, Shaping the Future. And it presents a journey starting from craft, organic materials, fine art from the 19th century. It goes to contemporary art and design. Then it goes to digital media, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, robotic, NFTs and blockchain connected to a neuro design experience where you design shapes directly with your mind and not anymore with your hand. So we can see the video. Thank you. So the show Take Your Time is open until May 8th. So if you are in Korea, you have the chance to come to Kyoungyoung. Kyoungyoung is called the Pearl of the South. It's a beautiful city in the south of Korea. And it's mostly celebrating the sea because it's surrounded by the sea. It's a big fishing place over there. So that's the first triennale. We are very happy to participate in the triennale. And I want to show you the next video, which is the piece that OMA Space designed. So it's a timepiece because the subject of the exhibition is time. We decided to make a timepiece that does not indicate or display or measure time. It's just give you a sense of eternity. So this is a way we are trying to contribute, to bring some beauty, some poetry, and some inspiration, some hope to the people, to making them slow down and to be facing, art. We believe that art is what is making life more interesting than art. So that's it for today.
Thank you so much, Danielle. It's always so challenging for us to do something on Zoom, but I think that through the videos and your presentation, we were able to experience space and time. So thank you so much for your beautiful...
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
It's a beautiful development of your careers together. I hope this continues. It's very peaceful and it really helps, I think, to come to terms. So I think it's very important for the world to know. So we're grateful to have you in this seminar.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And OMA is sending our best regards to everyone here.
Thank you.
She cannot be here today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.